Now, the important thing is when you're trying to break a habit that's not particularly desirable is you need to understand the why behind it. You need to have an awareness of why it is meaningful to you to break that habit. Hello and welcome to Habit Nerd, a podcast show that knows that few things can have a more powerful impact on your life than improving your daily systems, habits, and mindset. I'm your host, Dr. Bree Hurn, a multi-passionate researcher, lecturer, speaker, and coach. Once a perfectionist who was always busy but not necessarily effective, I overcame illness and burnout and am now obsessed with sharing the science and systems for working with efficiency and habits for abundant health in your mind and your body. Each week, my guests and I share stories and lessons backed by research. So let's buckle up and dive straight into today's empowering conversation. Hello and a warm welcome to this episode of the Habit Nerd podcast. And another big thank you for spending this time with me today. Now, we are called the Habit Nerd podcast, so guess what we're going to be talking about today? Habits. It is going to be a short, sharp, foundational episode around the general principles of habit formation, what a habit is, basically how to break bad habits and how to embed more positive habits in our lives. Now, it will be a generative episode, meaning that we'll do just a sort of shallow dip our toes in, and then you can expect a deeper dive into some of the deeper principles and the science around habits in upcoming episodes. So, habits. A habit is a settled tendency. It's a behavior that is automatic, and your behaviors throughout your whole day are simply a collection of your habits. Now, no pressure, but there is a lot in life that is a direct result of your habits. How healthy you are at the moment is determined by the collection of your habits. So, how much sleep you get, how much water you drink, how much movement you do are all a result of the behaviors, the settled tendencies that you have got in place that equal the result of your health. Same can be said for your work. Where you are today in your work is in large part thanks to your habits, how you work, what sort of behaviors you turn up with in your work, how productive you are. All of these things are impacted by the behaviors that we perform and therefore the impact that we have and the results that we get. So, to understand a habit, we need to understand that there is a 4-stage habit loop and that every automatic behavior we have already established follows this same pattern. Now, the 4 stages are known as cue, craving, response, and reward. So every behavior or every pattern is governed by a cue, so something happens, a craving, which is a need or a desire, a response, which is just another way of saying what we do, so the behavior itself, and the reward that we get. So this is the outcome. So think about it like this. A settled behavior that you probably have is brushing your teeth in the morning. So let's use this framework. The cue is you wake up in the morning. The craving is you want to have clean teeth, you want to have fresh breath. The response is you get out your toothbrush, your toothpaste, you're in the bathroom over the sink and you brush your teeth. And the reward is you have clean teeth, you can smile in the mirror, your teeth look clean, and you have overcome that, that yucky sleep, furry teeth feeling that you have, and you have fresh mouth and fresh breath. So let's think about it when we want to overcome a habit that is not serving us. So think about the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward. Now, a personal example, I want to use my phone less. I want to be less distracted by my phone while I'm working. Now, the important thing is when you're trying to break a habit that's not particularly desirable is you need to understand the why behind it. You need to have an awareness of why it is meaningful to you to break that habit. So examples of bad habits could be maybe you spend too much money gambling. Maybe you've, I'm not talking about hardcore addiction here because, that is an illness and that's a topic for somebody way more qualified than myself. But say you do have a habit of spending a little bit more than you would like on the pokie machines at your local RSL. Now, the reason you would want to break that habit needs to be important enough to you and your family, for example. So maybe you're not finding enough money at the end of the pay cycle to be able to pay for your living expenses. Maybe you are concerned about the example that it's setting for the young people in your life. Maybe it is creeping into time that you really could be using for work or for family. And maybe there are some people that you could do with spending a little bit less time with alongside you when you're sitting at the pokie machine. All of those reasons are fairly strong reasons, fairly strong why, fairly strong inherent motivations for wanting to overcome that undesirable habit. So have a think about it. What is your why? Because that is what's going to govern whether or not you're successful in overcoming this bad/undesirable habit. So for me, if I want to overcome my digital distraction, so my addiction to my phone, it's because it is getting in the way of my focus and my concentration. I know I have got limited cognitive resources throughout my day, and I have a busy job and I have work that I love to do, and yet it's difficult work sometimes, and my phone is getting in the way of me being able to focus fully on that. I don't want to appear to be on my phone when I should be with my family. I don't want them to think that there's something on the phone that's more important to them. That gives me a sick feeling in my stomach to think that, and we've all, got that fear and that guilt probably, that our children will think that they need to be more interesting than what is on our phone. That makes me feel a little bit anxious. So therefore, my why is remaining focused at work and getting more out of my job and more results out of my work, and being a good example for my children and being more present with my family. So my why for wanting to overcome this digital distraction is fairly strong, and I need to remember what that is when this gets difficult. Hi everyone, I do hope you're enjoying The Habit Nerd. Now, whilst I love sharing research-informed, tried and tested habits for work, health and mindset on this podcast, you might not know that I am also a keynote speaker and I facilitate workshops. Now, I have opened up a limited amount of dates just in the first half of 2025 so that your organisation or event can engage me, the Habit Nerd. We can work together to refine the message just for your context, but I can use the principles of behavioural science and organisational psychology to create and sustain positive habits and cover things like task prioritisation, calendar management, hybrid work practices, managing email, and productivity habits, just to name a few. I can also help you with which habits have the most comprehensive impact across your life, work and learning habits, habits to create and maintain physical health, and mental health habits to thrive in a busy life. So if a warm, engaging presentation or workshop dripping in practical strategies and propped up by credible research sounds like something you or your organisation could really do with, then go to The Habit Nerd on Instagram. Let's work together to create some really great habits. Now, let's think about the 4-part framework, and it is just a loop. So it goes cue, craving, response, reward. Cue, craving, response, reward. We're on a feedback loop constantly throughout our day when we're when we're engaging in any behaviors or any habits. So let's think about that. Now, the cue is with my phone. I'm sitting at my desk, I'm in my study, and I'm working. And something becomes difficult. Now, any one of us working on our jobs are solving problems all day. So things are inherently going to become difficult. So the cue for me is I'm working on my computer, and something becomes difficult. There's a problem I can't immediately solve, or something takes a little bit of thinking, or it's going to take a couple of hurdles before I can complete the task. Now, I'm craving some relief. So my craving here is a distraction away from the problem, the thing that I'm finding difficult. The response is, so this is the behavior, I automatically pick up my phone and I might check a text message, Or I might go into Instagram and check if there are any notifications in there. Or I might even trick myself into thinking that I'm being productive and do something like check my internet banking. But really, what I'm craving there is that relief. So the response is I pick up my phone and I do any number of things on my phone. The reward is I get my dopamine hit. It's easy. I might see something pretty on Instagram. I might see a text message from a friend and that makes me feel good. It makes me feel connected. Even if I don't like the way what I've seen on my phone makes me feel. Maybe I get some FOMO, somebody's having a lovely day at the beach and I'm stuck at work or whatever it is. It's still giving me that instant gratification, that dopamine hit that is the opposite to the feeling that I have while I'm trying to solve my work problem. So you can see here how the cue, the craving, the response, and the reward happen fairly quickly. The cue is I'm at my desk, things get difficult. Craving, I want relief. Response, pick up my phone. The reward is my dopamine hit and the distraction is alleviated. This is a tricky one because the dopamine hit feels good and it appears that I'm getting a good reward for something that I'm not viewing necessarily as good. So now that I understand those 4 parts, I know what the cue is, I know what I'm craving, the response is the automatic behavior that I need to stop. So the actually picking up my phone is the habit that I want to break. And then the reward I know is getting the dopamine hit. So how to break the undesirable habit based on James Clear's work says for the cue, you need to make it invisible. So therefore, if my cue is I'm sitting at my desk working, my phone should not be within arm's reach, or it should be upside down, or it should be in a drawer. So therefore, making it invisible means that the cue where I am facing a difficulty at work or something on my computer or the report I'm writing gets tricky or there's a reference I need to check or there's an email that I'm finding difficult to respond to, whatever the problem is, that cue where I would normally crave distraction, now the distraction of my phone is not there because it's out of sight. So the first thing is to make it invisible. Now, the craving is to make it unattractive. So I need to have my to-do list next to me on my pad of paper, which I always have while I'm working. And looking at that to-do list, I know if I pick up my phone, I am going to suffer the switch cost effect. My attention will be divided. It will take me longer to get back on task if I do look at my phone, and therefore I won't get through my to-do list. So it needs to be unattractive that I won't get my work done. The response is make it difficult. So if on my phone, I do want to have my phone near me, and I have to be honest, I do because I want to be contactable by my kids' school if one of them gets sick or maybe my parents need me. So I do want to have my phone near me, but what I don't want is to use it in an undesirable way. For example, using it to scroll social media when I should be working. So by making it difficult, maybe I will take social media apps off my phone. There is another tip from Silicon Valley. They have tried putting elastic bands around the phone, so vertically and horizontally, so that when you pick up your phone, you can't just swipe up or you can't use the Face ID because there's an elastic band there. And it also breaks the automaticity of the feedback loop. So it makes it less automatic and it makes it less kind of sure thing that you'll pick up your phone and be able to just scroll it because there's something breaking that cycle there for you. There's a hurdle put in your place. And the last tip is when it comes to the reward, make it unsatisfying. So if I am satisfied by the dopamine hit of my phone, then I need to make it unsatisfying. So therefore that means make it boring. So I will take the social media off my phone, and I might even take the internet off my phone, or I might put it on flight mode or airplane mode so that there's nothing on the phone that is necessarily going to give me a reward. So you can see there by flipping that, by using the cue, making it invisible, the craving making it unattractive, the response making it difficult, and the reward making it unsatisfying, I have got a much better chance of breaking that habit. So I wonder if you can think about a habit that you're trying to break at the moment. Think about breaking it into the cue, the craving, the response, and what reward you're getting, and see if you can embed making it invisible, making it unattractive, making it difficult, and then making it unsatisfying or making it boring. Give it a go and let me know how that goes over on Instagram at The Habit Nerd. And I look forward, as I said, to spending more time with you over the coming weeks and months, diving into the more science-backed, more intricate aspects of habit formation for you. So let me know how you will go with breaking those bad habits based on the 4-part framework, and I look forward to connecting with you next time. Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Habit Nerd. I hope you found some new inspiration, learned something new, or gained a fresh perspective. If you did enjoy the episode, I would be really grateful if you could please leave a 5-star review, as it helps the show get in the ears of new listeners, plus it should only take you 5 seconds. If you're keen for more tips and insights, then head over to Instagram and follow Habit Nerd.